Let's start with a story that you've covered. The Fed chair saying that cyber attacks are the number one threat for the global financial system. What are some of the major cyber attack threats for campaigns and election workers that we should be watching closely this year?
Sure. Well, in just the last cycle, we saw social engineering attacks on campaigns via social media and email. That's where you would have seen phishing attacks, where attackers would send emails, posing as legitimate senders, trying to convince people to click on malicious links or open malicious attachments. And those would, generally install bad software on people's machines that would, enable attackers to gain access to sensitive data. And we also saw things like ransomware targeting at least one US county. In that situation, we didn't see, the ransomware actually compromise, the integrity of the election process, but it did bring down a couple of of county databases for a period of time, and just made life generally a little bit difficult in the run up to the election. I think as we cover more and more of these issues, people are going to be more and more attuned to the fact that these are threats. And there's a very robust ecosystem out there of experts and professionals and providers, trying to keep the nation's election infrastructure safe. And in the last election cycle, we saw the Department of Homeland Security get very involved, working with state and local government officials, with the private sector, trying to counter a lot of some of these threats that we're seeing now.
Well, earlier, we heard from Gary Pruitt, the president of the Associated Press, about attacks on the AP last November on election night. Were those attacks unusual? He called them withering, or is that what we can expect now from foreign adversaries?
Well, from your question, it sort of seems like it's primarily about election and election security. But I would say, the reality is that these types of attacks are happening to all types of organizations, large and small. And some of them are, crimes of opportunity where attackers see an opening and then they try to exploit it. Other times they're, more specifically targeted attacks, going after things like power grids or the water supply, as we saw recently in Florida, financial institutions, as you kind of mentioned above earlier, research organizations and think tanks trying to understand, what it is that U.S. experts are thinking in regards to, foreign adversaries. And so, it's not just journalistic organizations that are facing a lot of these threats. It's really all enterprises. And that's what kind of makes this such a hard problem to kind of wrap our arms around, because the threats are so varied and the ways you defend against them are so varied as well.